More than 40% of adults over 60 report waking up between 2 and 4 in the morning at least 3 nights a week. Not occasionally, consistently. And in study after study, those same adults report that by the following afternoon, their thinking feels slower, their words feel harder to find, and their concentration does not fully return, even after a full night of trying to catch up the next night. That number, 40%, is not a quirk of aging. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, studying sleep disruption in older adults, found that nighttime awakenings specifically shortened the duration of REM sleep, the exact stage responsible for consolidating memories from short-term to long-term storage. Every time that stage is cut short, the transfer is incomplete. You are not imagining it, and it is not inevitable. This is not just a sleep problem, it is a brain fuel problem. And once you understand the specific mechanism behind it, the solution is simpler than most people expect. My name is Dr. Gloria Reed. I am a neuroscientist who has spent more than 2 decades studying how nutritional and metabolic factors affect cognitive function and memory in adults over 60. What I want to talk to you about today sits at the intersection of sleep physiology, brain metabolism, and something most people have in their refrigerator right now. Before I explain the mechanism behind what is happening, I want to give you something you can use today. Tonight, 30 minutes before you go to bed, eat 1 tablespoon of almond butter or 2 tablespoons of cottage cheese with a pinch of cinnamon. That is the entire action. No supplements, no equipment, nothing to buy. Here is why this works. Your brain does not stop consuming energy when you fall asleep. During REM sleep, the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, is highly active, replaying and filing the day's experiences. It requires a steady glucose supply to do that work. When blood sugar drops too quickly after midnight, the brain triggers a cortisol surge to compensate. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It wakes you up, and it simultaneously suppresses REM sleep. The combination of slow-digesting protein and cinnamon in that small snack extends glucose delivery across the full night. Not a spike, a slow, even release. The brain gets what it needs at 3 a.m., the cortisol signal never fires, and REM sleep continues uninterrupted. Do this tonight. Just this. 1 tablespoon, 30 minutes before bed. Keep that in mind, because when I show you the full protocol later, this piece is what makes everything else work. Most people believe that waking up at 3 a.m. is simply what happens when you get older, that sleep becomes lighter, more fragmented, and that is just the biology of aging. And that is not entirely wrong. But here is the part that changes everything, and that almost nobody explains. The fragmentation itself is often not the primary cause. In a significant number of adults over 60, the awakening is triggered by a specific metabolic event, a nocturnal cortisol surge caused by falling blood glucose. The brain detects an energy shortage. It activates the stress response as an emergency fuel release mechanism, and the stress response wakes you up. The medical term for the mechanism is nocturnal hypoglycemia, and in its mild form, it does not appear on any standard test. It does not register as a blood sugar disorder. It simply registers as waking up at 3 a.m., feeling alert and unable to return to sleep, and then feeling foggy and slow the following day. The consequence for memory is direct and measurable. REM sleep is not just restful sleep. It is the stage during which your hippocampus actively transfers information from temporary storage, the events of the day, the names you heard, the conversations you had, into long-term memory. Neuroscientists call this process memory consolidation. When nocturnal cortisol interrupts it, that transfer does not resume from where it stopped. The incomplete memories are not filed, they fade. This is why people who wake consistently at 3 a.m. often report that their memory feels worse not just the next morning, but cumulatively, over weeks and months. It is not the disruption of one night. It is the accumulation of incomplete consolidation across dozens of nights. Before I go further, have you tried adjusting your sleep schedule or sleep hygiene and still found yourself awake at 3 a.m? Just comment yes or no. I want to know, because what comes next is specifically for you if your answer is yes. Think of your brain during sleep as a city that runs a night shift. From the moment you fall asleep, workers in the hippocampus begin the process of filing everything that happened during the day. Conversations, faces, names, decisions. This filing operation runs through the night. It is most active during REM sleep, which occurs in increasing amounts in the second half of the night, primarily between midnight and 6 a.m. Those workers need fuel. The fuel is glucose, and it arrives through the bloodstream in a slow, managed flow throughout the night. When that flow drops too sharply, when blood sugar falls below a threshold the brain reads as dangerous, the adrenal glands release cortisol. The city goes into emergency mode. The lights come on. The workers stop filing, and you wake up. That is the first mechanism, nocturnal hypoglycemia, driving a cortisol surge that terminates REM sleep at precisely the moment when memory consolidation should be at its most active. The daily consequence is specific and predictable. You wake up and recent events feel thin. The names you learned yesterday feel out of reach. Conversations from 2 days ago feel like they happened 2 weeks ago. This is not vague cognitive decline. This is incomplete memory consolidation, a filing system that keeps getting interrupted before the job is done. A 2016 study published in the journal Sleep, led by Dr. Matthew Walker and colleagues at the University of California, Berkeley, documented that even partial REM sleep deprivation, interruptions of as little as 30 to 40 minutes across a single night, produced measurable deficits in next-day memory recall, specifically for episodic and associative memories. The subjects who experienced the deepest and longest REM sleep cycles consistently outperformed those whose REM was fragmented, regardless of total sleep time. This is the part that matters. Total hours in bed are not the variable. REM continuity is the variable. The pre-bed protein and cinnamon combination you already have, the ACAO_IM date from a few minutes ago, acts directly on this mechanism. Slow digesting protein raises blood amino acids gradually and sustains glucose availability without spiking insulin. Cinnamon's active compounds, specifically cinnamaldehyde, have been shown to slow gastric emptying and modulate glucose absorption, extending the overnight energy curve. The brain's fuel supply does not run low at 3 a.m. The cortisol signal does not fire. REM sleep continues. The second mechanism operates in parallel, and it is the one that explains why people who do address the 3 a.m. awakening still often feel that their memory is not recovering as quickly as they expected. During slow-wave sleep, the deep, non-REM stage that precedes and sets up REM, your brain undergoes a process called synaptic homeostasis. Think of it this way. Every experience during the day strengthens neural connections. By bedtime, the brain is dense with activity. Too many connections firing too loudly for the important signals to come through clearly. Slow-wave sleep is when the brain quiets unnecessary connections and strengthens the ones worth keeping. It is not filing, it is editing, selecting what matters and discarding what does not. Magnesium plays a central and underappreciated role in this process. Specifically, magnesium threonate, a form of magnesium developed at MIT that crosses the blood-brain barrier more effectively than other forms, has been shown to increase synaptic density in the hippocampus and improve the depth and quality of slow-wave sleep. A 2022 randomized controlled trial, published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience, led by Dr. Guo-Song Liu and colleagues at Tsinghua University, found that adults over 50 who supplemented with magnesium threonate over 12 weeks showed significant improvements in both slow-wave sleep duration and cognitive performance measures, including memory recall and processing speed. The effect was most pronounced in participants who had elevated nighttime cortisol at baseline, exactly the population most affected by nocturnal hypoglycemia. The practical consequence of slow-wave sleep disruption is different from REM disruption, where interrupted REM produces specific memory gaps, names, faces, recent events. Disrupted slow-wave sleep produces a broader haziness. The sense that everything is slightly harder, that thinking requires more effort, that you are not quite sharp. These two mechanisms do not work in isolation. They feed each other. When blood sugar drops and cortisol surges, it disrupts both stages, fragmenting slow-wave sleep in the early night and cutting REM short in the second half. Addressing only one stage without the other produces partial results. The protocol addresses both simultaneously. Before I walk you through exactly how to do this, I want to be direct with you. What I am describing is not a replacement for medical care. If you are on medication, particularly diabetes medication, blood pressure medication, or any sleep-related prescription, speak to your doctor before adding anything new. What this is an evidence-supported, low-risk addition that works alongside what you are already doing. Most people who hear, "eat something before bed for your memory," make one of three mistakes that completely cancel the benefit. The first mistake is eating too much. A full meal before bed raises insulin sharply. Insulin drives blood glucose down rapidly, and a sharp drop 3 to 4 hours later is exactly what causes the 3 a.m. cortisol spike you are trying to prevent. The snack needs to be small, 150 to 200 calories maximum. The second mistake is choosing simple carbohydrates. Toast, crackers, fruit juice, even a banana eaten alone. These digest quickly, raise blood sugar fast, and create the same spike and crash pattern. The problem is speed, not food itself. The third mistake, and the most common, is eating too late, less than 20 minutes before sleep. At that point, digestion has not begun delivering glucose to the bloodstream, and the stabilizing effect does not reach the 3 a.m. window when it is needed. The timing window is 20 to 40 minutes before bed, not immediately before. Here is the correct way. What to eat? Choose one of the following combinations. Each provides slow-digesting protein, a small amount of complex carbohydrate, and a glucose-stabilizing compound. 1 tablespoon of almond butter on half a slice of whole grain bread, with a pinch of cinnamon. 2 tablespoons of full-fat cottage cheese, with 1 tablespoon of walnuts and a pinch of cinnamon. 1 boiled egg with half a small apple, eaten together. Any of these 3 options delivers the same physiological outcome: a slow, sustained glucose release that maintains brain energy supply past the 3 a.m. threshold without creating an insulin spike. When to eat it? 30 minutes before you intend to be asleep, not before you get into bed, but before you actually expect to fall asleep. For most people, this means 20 to 40 minutes before your usual sleep time. What not to combine with it? Do not eat this snack alongside alcohol. Alcohol suppresses slow-wave sleep independently and blocks the protective effect of the snack entirely. Do not add sweetened yogurt, honey, or any sweetener to the combination. The added sugar accelerates digestion and recreates the spike. Do not take the magnesium threonate on an empty stomach. It absorbs more effectively taken with this snack. Magnesium threonate. Take 144 milligrams of elemental magnesium as magnesium threonate with the pre-bed snack. This is approximately 1 standard capsule of most commercial formulations labeled as Magtine or MGT-185. Do not substitute magnesium oxide or magnesium citrate. They do not cross the blood-brain barrier in meaningful amounts and will not produce the same effect on slow-wave sleep. If you are on any cardiac or kidney-related medication, confirm this with your doctor first. What to expect? By day 7, most people notice one primary change. They either do not wake at 3 a.m. at all, or when they do wake, they return to sleep within a few minutes rather than lying awake for an hour. The awakening itself may still occur. The cortisol pathway takes time to recalibrate, but the intensity diminishes significantly. By day 14, the quality of the following morning changes noticeably. The first hour of the day feels more functional. Words come more easily. Recent events feel more accessible. This is the consolidation effect becoming measurable. REM sleep, running its full course over 2 consecutive weeks, begins to rebuild the filing that had been interrupted. By day 30, the cumulative effect becomes visible in how you think across the entire day, not just the morning. Conversations feel more connected. Names stay with you longer. The general fog that had been attributed to aging begins to thin. This is not a dramatic reversal. It is a reliable, consistent improvement, exactly what the research predicts. Remember that statistic from the beginning: 40% of adults over 60 waking up 3 or more nights a week. By day 30, the people in that group who follow this protocol consistently are no longer reliably in that group. The number that was 40% becomes much smaller. And the memory that was being lost night after night begins to stay. 3 supporting factors that reinforce what you have just started. First, sleep on your left side. Research on the glymphatic system, your brain's overnight waste removal network, shows that lateral sleep position increases glymphatic clearance by up to 25% compared to sleeping on your back. Left side specifically reduces pressure on the liver and allows the glymphatic flow to move more efficiently. Add this to the pre-bed snack tonight. Second, a 10-minute walk after lunch. Zone 2 walking, a pace where you can speak in full sentences but feel slightly warm, releases BDNF, the brain's growth factor, and improves insulin sensitivity in brain tissue for the following 4 to 6 hours. This directly reduces the overnight glucose instability that triggers the 3 a.m. awakening. 10 minutes after lunch, outside if possible. Third, a breathing practice before you touch your phone in the morning. 4 counts in through the nose, 6 counts out through the mouth for 5 minutes. This activates the parasympathetic nervous system and lowers morning cortisol before it peaks. Starting the day with lower cortisol means the overnight recalibration you have begun with the snack holds more effectively across the full 24-hour cycle. Here is what this video covered. The 3 a.m. awakening is not simply aging. It is often a nocturnal cortisol event driven by overnight glucose instability. It directly interrupts REM sleep and memory consolidation. A small, specific pre-bed snack with magnesium threonate addresses both mechanisms simultaneously. Your brain did not develop this pattern in a week. It will not fully reset in a few days. That is biology, not failure. What the research shows is that consistent, targeted action over 30 to 90 days produces changes that are real and that you will feel. If tonight is your first night trying this, comment the word sleep below. I want to hear how day 7 goes for you. In the next video, I want to talk about something most people are completely unaware of. A category of very common medications taken by millions of people over 60 that has a documented and rarely explained effect on memory. If you or someone you love takes medication daily, that video is going to matter to you. Your brain is not broken. It adapted. And when you give it what it needs, it adapts back. Not instantly, but reliably. I will see you in the next one.